I remember the day clearly. The sound of rain tapping against the kitchen window, the smell of burnt toast I'd forgotten on the pan, and the look on his face when he said, "Mom, you can't stay here anymore." He didn't shout. He didn't even look angry, just tired, the kind of tired that settles deep in your bones. I wanted to speak, to ask why, but the words stayed trapped behind my teeth. He had his reasons, I told myself. He always does. That night, I packed quietly. No tears, no arguments, just me and the creaking floorboards beneath my feet. Every shirt I folded carried a memory. His first day of school, his first heartbreak, the nights he used to fall asleep on my lap when storms frightened him. Now he stood by the door, arms crossed, watching me leave like I was a stranger. The cab ride was silent. The driver tried to make small talk, but I couldn't find the strength to pretend. When we stopped at the nursing home, I saw the sign, Golden Meadow Care Center. Pretty name for a place people go to be forgotten. He hugged me once, too quickly, like someone checking a task off a list. Then he was gone. The first nights there were the hardest, not because the bed was small or the food was bland, but because of the quiet, the kind of quiet that echoes your memories back at you. I'd sit by the window, watching the world go on without me. People walking dogs, children laughing on sidewalks, life moving forward even when you're not part of it anymore. There was another woman in the next room, Miss Eleanor, 83, sharp as a blade. She told me, "Don't you dare cry in here, honey. They feed on sadness." I laughed for the first time in weeks. She was right, you know. Sadness is like perfume in this place. It lingers on everything you touch. So I decided I wouldn't let mine show. At least, not all the time. Weeks passed. He didn't visit, not once. The nurses said, "Give him time." I smiled. I've been giving him time his whole life. One evening, I found myself praying, not for him to come back, but for him to find peace. Because sometimes love means letting go, even when you don't want to. Then, one afternoon, the receptionist came running. "Mrs. Hayes," she said breathlessly, "you have a visitor." My heart skipped. Could it be him? But no, it was his wife. She looked nervous, holding a box in her hands. "I thought you should have these," she said softly. Inside were old letters, ones I'd written him years ago, never opened. All those words I thought he'd ignored, he had kept them, every single one. That night I cried, not because I was hurt, but because I realized something beautiful. Even when they push you away, your children never stop needing your love. They just don't always know how to ask for it. Sometimes love has to stretch across distance, across pride, across the years we lose to silence. It had been 6 months. The seasons had changed. The trees outside my window went from gold to gray, and the snow began to settle on the nursing home garden. I used to watch the birds from my chair every morning. The staff thought I was lonely, but really, I was waiting. waiting for something I couldn't name. Maybe a letter, maybe a voice, maybe just a sign that I still mattered to someone. Then, one morning, I heard it, the sound of footsteps running down the hallway. A nurse burst in, smiling. "Mrs. Hayes, your son's here." For a moment, my breath stopped. I looked down at my trembling hands, and suddenly I was afraid that I'd forgotten his face. When he walked in, I saw the same boy I once held, just taller now, carrying a guilt heavier than any suitcase. He didn't say a word at first. He just stood there, eyes glassy, and then he whispered, "Mom, I'm sorry." It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but those words cracked something open inside me. I didn't ask him why. I didn't ask what took him so long. I just reached out, and he knelt beside my chair, burying his face in my lap, the same way he did when he was 6 years old and the thunder frightened him. Time folded in on itself. For a moment, it was as if the years between us had never existed. He told me everything, how life had swallowed him, how work, bills, and pride became his gods, how his wife had begged him to visit sooner, but he couldn't face the shame. He said, "I thought sending you here would make things easier, but it just made me realize how empty easy can be." I didn't need to forgive him. I already had, long before he asked. That night, after he left, I sat by the window again. The snow was falling quietly, and for the first time in a long while, I felt something like peace. He promised to visit next week. I believed him, but deep down, I knew life has a way of changing plans. A few days later, the nurses found me still sitting by the window, eyes closed, smile on my face, the photo of my son and me on my lap. They said I looked peaceful, like someone who had finally come home. Weeks passed before my son returned. He brought flowers, roses, my favorite, and when they told him I was gone, he didn't cry right away. He just stood there, staring at my empty chair by the window, and whispered, "She kept her promise. She waited." Later, he found my notebook. I used to write in it every night, prayers, memories, little bits of advice I'd never gotten to say aloud. The last page read, "If you ever feel lost, look for the quiet things. The sound of rain, the warmth of a morning sunbeam, the way forgiveness feels when it finally arrives. That's me, still loving you from somewhere softer than this world." He took that notebook home. Every night since, he reads a page aloud to his daughter, my granddaughter, so she'll know the woman who loved her father enough to let him go. Sometimes when the rain taps on their windows, he tells her, "That's Grandma saying goodnight." Because love doesn't end when we leave. It just changes shape, from touch to memory to prayer. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all love ever needed to be. Outro, closing narration. They say forgiveness is for the living, but I think it's also for the ones who've loved too deeply to stop. If I could speak to him now, I'd say, "Don't carry the guilt, baby. Just carry the love. It's lighter. And when you look at the rain, remember, I'm right there, between every drop."